Greetings to my audience that decided to stay at this late hour of the conference, last day of the conference, and especially after the fact that I'm 5 minutes late because of some glitches at my home environment, technical environment settings. The presentation that I'm going to deliver to this audience today is dedicated to a niche that sits between the robotic process automation, also known in the automation domain as RPA, and the artificial intelligence. I have a background in artificial intelligence and particularly in natural language processing from many years ago, and I was able to join the front forces for robotic process automations 4 years ago when this buzz started and the RPA was going through a massive adoption by various business communities. I worked for RBC at that time, and I'm very proud that this organization was the front force for making this artificial intelligence and robotic process automation practice active in business environment. Now, 2 years ago, I joined BMO to contribute and help build the practice of robotic process automation at scale. And with the various achievements that we got, I also can say that the team and our business partners are greatly collaborating with myself personally and my team members to make to scale the practice and make it more efficient. However, for this specific presentation, I'm going to touch upon 5 questions that bothers me and, so to speak, make me think through almost every day when I go to work, because I run into, as you can imagine, into problems supporting the solutions that are already in production. And I think I would speculate that at the end of this presentation, perhaps the audience will find it controversial perhaps for some and thought-provoking for others. So what are these 5 questions that I would like to talk about? The first one is RPA, robotic process automation, delivering the promised business benefits in banking, specifically because I work there, but I would argue maybe in every other business area. 4 years after the mass adoption of RPA, are business processes more efficient because of this technology? Do banks today have a commoditized artificial intelligence product, or actually only research opportunities? Why is that in industries such as streaming, online retail, searching engines, and you know who they are the big players in this area, show strong performing machine learning models while banks are catching up to commoditize the artificial intelligence product? The third question, expectations versus reality. What is getting in the way of robotic process automation and cognitive technologies in banking? What shall intelligent automation imply in banking today? Is it that intelligent automation is equal to cognitive technologies only, or that intelligent automation is robotic process automation plus traditional development plus cognitive technologies? What is the path forward for intelligent automation? All of these thoughts and sharing experiences are based on my personal opinion, and I would like to make this disclaimer that I'm not representing BMO in this regard. So let's start first with the first question. Is RPA delivering the promised business benefits in banking today? At BMO, although these numbers are a little bit older than as it to date, but approximately represent the actuals, we have at BMO today about 245 bots deployed to production. 148 bots released in 2018, 97 bots released in 2019, and in 2020 we have approximately 10 bots only. 145 business processes were automated. 63 business processes were automated in fiscal year 2018. 82 business processes were automated in fiscal year 2019, and about 6 in 2020. 32 robotic process projects altogether were stood up during the span of the last 2 years. 10 projects delivered in 2018, 22 in 2019, and 3 in 2020. Is RPA delivering the promised business benefits in banking? The graphics below illustrate, and the matrix illustrated, are based on real data from the last several years. I have been working in this domain and not only associated with my current role and the statistics at BMO. I want to make this disclaimer as well. So what was promised about 3-4 years ago, especially from the vendors that are delivering robotic process automation tool, was that 80 to 90% the businesses will achieve 80 to 90% cost savings because the robots are going to be as much more efficient than a person, a human being doing the business process manually. What the reality shows 2-3 years later is that the cost benefit realizations are only 40%. Based on the latest experience and my observation is that around 262 production incidents are raised on a monthly basis for all 245 bots in production, which roughly makes it 1 production incident per bot every month, because this incident can stay up and stay a cost that is associated a cost that is related to resource costs related to supporting these bots, development costs if there are any additional development or fixes that needs to be done, and perhaps in certain cases some hardware-related costs as well, although these cases may be just rare, but that has to be taken into consideration. So overall, I would say that the maintenance cost or the cost of ownership is quite higher than initially expected. And let's talk about the cost savings in this regard. Is RPA delivering the promised business benefit in banking was the third question. And based on the analysis that I have done, it looks like that for 24-hour, 7-day support, we would spend around $5,000 per bot annually. Cost of ownership, by comparison with the initial investment that was done to deliver the solution, stands toward 30%. 82% of the SLAs are realized through bot automation, which means we're pretty good there. The bot in productions are really achieving the expectation of the service level agreements. However, we have I have to mention that always to achieve these SLAs and to make sure that even when a bot fails into production, there will be a human being that will support manually finishing the respective automated business process, that will bring another cost of manual intervention, which is also called cost related to human-in-the-loop support. So is RPA delivering the promised business benefit? I would say, and that's my personal opinion, that the answer is no, and there is a huge gap between the reality and expectation, which makes our business partners very frustrated. Do banks today have a commercialized artificial intelligence or not? I'm switching from robotic process automation to artificial intelligence because I have observation in this area, as well as I and some of my team members who were involved in use cases and POCs to either develop standalone machine learning models or to integrate those machine learning models with robotic process automation solutions, so that the end-to-end solution is delivered fully automated. I would say that arguably today many businesses and companies are stating that they have artificial intelligence implemented in fraud protection and middle office, lending and risk management, customer support and front offices, and they perhaps do. But my question is are these implemented artificial intelligence model are really commoditized, or they are just research opportunities at this stage, as of today, September 2020? Again, my opinion is that the majority of these implementation are all in their early stage of research opportunities, and they're really not a commoditized product. So this is where I see the future of our great and bright minds of data scientists and machine learning specialists to have more focus on really bringing those solutions that they come up with during the research process as a well and efficient performing products that really can be stated as a commoditized product, bringing real benefits to business. What is getting in the way of RPA and cognitive technologies in banking? I think there are several blockers, and I'm going to divide them in two rounds. One is related specifically to robotic process automation, and the other one to cognitive technologies such as machine learning and neural networks, or broadly called artificial intelligence technologies. For RPA domain, I think legacy systems and their performance preventing bots to work flawlessly is one of the big blockers to have the efficient robots in production supporting businesses the way they expected and making them realize 80 to 90% efficiency and cost savings. The second blocker would be complicated business processes involving many systems and platforms, and on top of it, these processes have not been optimized prior to the request for us, for our team, particularly at BMO, to automate them through robotic process automation, something that we have to think about. And perhaps business users and partners that reach out to the respective teams to get them help with either robotic process automation or machine learning models, they have to think about optimizing the business processes, the manual business processes, before they reach out to these respective teams. The third blocker that I see is how the RPA tools are sold to business from a PR perspective. As I mentioned it 3 times now, this is the third time. Usually about 3 years ago, the respective vendors would talk to businesses and say that with RPA or perhaps the artificial intelligence product that they are offering, you're going to get almost everything automated. You don't need human in the loop, and you will realize 80 to 90% cost savings. In the area, which by the way, it's not the reality as I see it today. In the area of the cognitive technologies, I believe the first blocker, and this to me is the higher priority to be solved, a problem to be solved, is data. So far the focus within the artificial intelligence domain was put on the machine learning algorithms and not really on data. There's the state of the data, the sources, the speed of the injection. And I believe now the Dow should be moved toward this area. We really need to have the data sources augmented. And today I've heard a speech by a fellow speaker talking about the data fabric of the enterprise, being it financial industry company or otherwise other business companies. They have to think about how they are going to augment and normalize the data, the huge amount of data that exists, in a way that the brilliant models that were created or would be created will be really deliver the expected result. The second blocker in this realm of cognitive technology is to be commoditized and get to that stage is the rigor related to regulatory requirements. So I believe that if we are to go to this realm of commoditizing artificial intelligence, we really need to think about or rethinking about what the regulatory policies will look like. Wherever there is a risk that the regulation policies are bringing that will impact hugely the company's client, perhaps if that risk is so high, there may be a decision that needs to be made from the respective sponsors that artificial intelligence, at least at this time, is not the area that we should proceed, because we would like to make sure that those regulations are met. I believe that the data scientists are very frustrated by the fact that they have to think about how to develop a model that is providing high accuracy of output. At the same time, they have to answer questions to the various risk associates, which are monitoring or auditing how these models are complying with the regulatory requirements, and asking questions as how this model reach out to this conclusion, something that not always can be evident. The third blocker to making the cognitive technologies commoditized is branding problem. We should start small in every area of cognitive deployments and really speak out what truly can be achieved for a certain period of time. All of these machine learning models need to have time to learn from practice in order to deliver these great outputs. However, there will be a specific period of time throughout this learning where the accuracy of the model perhaps will not be so great, and we have to make sure that this is really well cascaded down the road to the executive sponsors and his champions, to the frontline business that is working with these technologies. And lastly but not least is that the less than patient business sponsors, as it pertains to ROE, may be also a blocker to commoditizing the cognitive technologies. Businesses are usually used to have something developed within a year or two, maximum 3. for complex application development projects, and they see the actual expected result right there when the project is delivered to production. With the cognitive technologies, though, they have to know that when something is delivered to production, it will take time to get to those results that will be the expected results. What shall intelligent automation imply in banking today? I think that the intelligent automation as of today, as it stands today, should include three components, and those three components are 1/3 of a core IT. We cannot get rid of the legacy system right away, and we have to make sure that when we deliver the new solution, being their robotic process automation purely standalone or in combination with artificial intelligence, we have to incorporate these systems, and at least for quite some time now. The second component, very important will be people. They are not going to get away. We still talk about human in the loops to step in situation where robotics or bots are failing, or machine learning model needs some input in order to grow their knowledge. And the third component will be, of course, the cognitive technologies that are more and more into the research domain for companies, and there are a lot more companies that are seeking in the near future to make their commoditized products, as the self-driving cars, or retail industries, or streaming industries. As an example would be Netflix. What is the path forward for intelligent automation? I think the first step would be curate, remove redundancies in data through single source of truth. The second will be make the intelligent automation a strategy, not a tactic. Don't expect that the intelligent automation, which would include robotic process automation and artificial intelligence, will be something that will be achieved in its full potential tomorrow. And the third, start with data-driven insight. Start small, but reach out to the goals that the business partners are expecting in their strategy roadmap. And with that, I would conclude my presentation and move up to the stage where questions and discussion, perhaps we can start with that model at this time. Yes, I'm going to, but I don't see yet. So in Q&A, I don't see yet. In chat, I see a question. Actually, there are comments in the chat regarding the delays that we have. So in the Q&A session, I don't see any questions in this time. Oh, by the way, there is, what was SLA adherence prior to using the bots? I would answer this question